Welcome to my YouTube channel Knowledge is Wisdom. I am Salman Zulfkar. Today we will discuss that what is capital, what is authorized capital, issued capital and subscribed or paid up capital. So let's start our lecture with the definition of the capital. Capital is resources which are required to start a business. The resources which are required to start a business is called capital. Suppose you want to start a business, fast food business, fast food restaurant you want to start. So you need machinery, the oven and these type of the machinery, the staff, the place. Let's suppose for machinery you need 200,000, for staff, for hiring the staff you need 300,000, for place, the sitting area and restaurant you need 500,000. So these all are the resources, the machinery, the staff and the place. These all are the resources which are required to start a business. So if we will sum up these values, 200,000 plus 300 plus 500, so it will become 1 million. So 1 million is required to start a business. So this 1 million is known as the capital which required to start a business. Capital is basically the liability of the company. As per international accounting standards, the business is a separate entity and the owner is the separate entity, and the owner which invests its capital to the business, then it becomes the responsibility of the business to pay back and to give profit on that capital. So that's why it is the liability of the company. Suppose your friend is running a business and he offers you to give me 200,000 and I will invest in my business and I will give you profit, 20% profit, and I will also pay back the principal amount, that is 200,000, after 2 years. So it is his responsibility to give profit and to pay back your principal amount, that is 200,000. Likewise, when you invest into a business, it becomes the responsibility of the business that it will give you the capital back when you will wind up the business. So that's why it is liability of the company. If you will look into the balance sheet of any company, you will find the capital in the liability side. It is the liability of the company. Company will pay back this liability, this capital, when you will wind up the business. So it was about the capital. Now let's discuss about the authorized capital. Authorized capital, which a company is authorized to use. It is the total value of the capital which a company can use and can issue during its whole life. Suppose we say that 2 billion capital. This is the 2 billion capital which a company will use and issue during its whole life. Always the good management and the good company, when they decide its authorized capital, they will look into the future. They will see the future vision statement, the mission statement of the company, and by seeing these things and by keeping these things in the mind, they will fix their authorized capital, because once it's registered, it cannot be changed. It can be changed, but through there is a long procedure, through a change in memorandum of association, and AGM meeting will be called through voting system. So it is always decided and fixed by seeing and by keeping in mind the future of the company. Let's take another example to understand the authorized capital. Suppose there is a textile company, and the vision of the textile company is to enter in the Europe. You know, there are 20 to 25 countries in the Europe. So its vision is to enter in the whole Europe after 10 years or after 20 years. But in start, they will start their business from local market, and eventually, gradually, when they will get experience, they will enter into the Europe, first country, then second country, then third country, and eventually they will capture the whole market of the Europe. So this is their vision, that they will enter into the Europe. but in start they will start from the small level. So might be possible in start they need only 30 million capital, but to enter in the whole Europe after 10 years they require $5 billion. Just pause. So the $5 billion should be authorized capital. They don't need 5 billion now, but they would need 5 billion rupees in the future. So by looking this vision, the company, the good management will fix their authorized capital by rupees 5 billion. Suppose this is this whole circle is the whole capital. Whole capital means authorized capital. Suppose it is your authorized capital, the total limit of the company, the total limit of the company's capital. Suppose it's 2 billion authorized capital, right? But in start the company need only 50 million. Suppose in start company need only 50 million, so it will issue only 50 million shares. It will not issue 2 billion shares. In start it needs only, because it has not expanded its business, but in start it needs only 50 million, then it will issue only 50 millions. When it will expand its business, might be possible it will issue 60 million. After 5 years it will issue 70 million. After 10 million 10 years it will issue 80 million. So whenever it will require it will issue, it can issue from this is its whole limit 2 billion, and this is the part of the its authorized capital. The issued capital is the part of the authorized capital which is issued from authorized capital to the general public. As you know, the capital of the company is a huge amount. That's why what they do is they divide the capital, the authorized capital or issued capital, into the small units, into small shares. This is known as shares. Let's take an example. Suppose you go to the restaurant with your two friends, and when you eat up the food, and the manager brings the bill, and bill is suppose 9,000 rupees, and what you do is, in order to save only 1%, you don't want to burdenize a 1%, what you do is you divide this 9,000 bill on 3 persons, which is 3,000 each. So in this way what you did is you avoid to burdenize 1%. You have divided this 9,000 bill on 3 shares. Same wise the company also divided its capital into the small units, small units which is known as share. Suppose it is 5 million and company will issue 50 million is issued capital. Company can divide this 50 million into 5 million shares of $10 each, right? So it will issue these 5 million shares to the general public through newspaper, and people will buy these shares. So the 2 billion was authorized capital. Company need only now 50 million. So company will divide this 50 million into small shares, into small units, and then issue to the general public, and people will buy these shares. Suppose you issue 5 million shares and people buy 5 million shares. So the shares which have bought up by the people, that is known as subscribed or paid up capital, for which you have for which the people have subscribed or paid up the capital. It might be 5 million, it might be less than, it might be more than 5 million. Suppose you have issued 5 million but you received only application 4 million, so it is less subscribed or less paid up capital. It might be possible that you issue 5 million, but people will give you application for 6 million, so that is known as our subscription. So that was all about the capital, authorized capital and issued capital, subscribed capital. We try to understand these things with the help of the examples, and I hope that you would better able to understand these concepts. Thank you so much. Take care. Bye.